Hi everyone, I'm excited to be here. I am going to be sharing with you an amazing poem that has changed my life ever since. I was going to say Nadine Stair, and then the title of the poem is If I Had My Life to Live Over. I saw this poem in about 2010 or 11, probably on the internet, but I realized that I had seen the poem many years before on the fridge of my friend Wendy's home when she was in high school. When we were in high school, it was her parents' home and it was on their fridge. I never spoke to Wendy about it. I just remember that that's where I saw it. I don't know why, but it obviously came to me many years later for a purpose. And wow, I was going to say I cannot explain to you what a big impact it had on me, but I'm actually just going to do that right now. And I'm hoping that maybe you could use it to impact your life as well, particularly what we normally call New Year's resolutions. I am going to change into like our deep down desires, like our dreams and desires. And this poem made me really get those out and really like look at what it is that I want my life, not what I want in my life, but what I want my life to be like. So let me start first with this poem was written by an 85-year-old woman. So when she wrote it, she was 85 years old. And it's very beautiful, very simple, but sweet and touching. But it was kind of sad too, because it was like all about how she would have wished that she had lived. And it inspired me so much because I thought, like, when I'm 85, I don't want to be saying if I had my life to live, or I don't want to have regrets. And actually, I don't want to have them when I'm 75 or 65 or 55 or 45. And so I just started, for whatever reason, I started writing my own version of this poem. I literally just wrote down if I had my life to live over and then started writing. And then when I stopped a bit, I wrote the line again and kept on writing. And it just kept going. And it turned into this poem. And when I looked at it, I was like, wow, I didn't even know this was all in me that I wanted or that I wished for. And I didn't stop myself. Like I didn't think, oh, how is that possible? Or how would I afford that? Or I can't do that. I don't have those skills, or that's not even, doable. Like I don't know, I don't have connections with those people. How would I meet them? How would I get to this place? All of these things, I just let all of that go. I was like, no, this is my poem. This is my desire list. This is just an exercise. There was just a fun thing that I wanted to do that I got inspired to do. So I'm going to just pause on that idea for a moment because I'm going to come back to that. But first, I want to share with you the original poem. Definitely want to give credit to this woman who inspired this in me, and I'm sure her words have inspired many people over the years. So here is Nadine Stair's poem called If I Had My Life to Live Over. If I had my life to live over, I'd dare to make more mistakes next time. I'd relax. I would limber up. I would be sillier than I have been this trip. I would take fewer things seriously. I would take more chances. I would climb more mountains and swim more rivers. I would eat more ice cream and less beans. I would perhaps have more actual troubles, but I'd have fewer imaginary ones. You see, I'm one of those people who lived sensibly and sanely, hour after hour, day after day. Oh, I've had my moments, and if I had to do it over again, I'd have more of them. In fact, I try to have nothing else, just moments, one after another, instead of living so many years ahead of each day. I've been one of those persons who never goes anywhere without a thermometer, a hot water bottle, a raincoat, and a parachute. If I had to do it, if I had to do it again, I would travel lighter than I have. If I had my life to live over, I would start barefoot early in the spring and stay that way later in the fall. I would go to more dances. I would ride more merry-go-rounds. I would pick more daisies. Every time I read this poem, I hear something else in it that I hadn't heard before, or don't see in the same way. Like, she seems like she felt like she was very grounded and sort of like careful in her living her life. But then when she mentioned parachute, I was like, is that just a metaphor for like she just always wanted to be prepared, or did she really like? Because raincoat, all of that makes sense, but parachute, I think this woman had more fire in her than maybe she's letting on, hopefully. But it was just really sweet, but really touching and kind of sad. And like I said, I didn't want to have regrets. So I wrote my version of my poem. And things that came out of it were simple things in my version. Like I would go to more coffee shops. I would spend more time laughing. I would be bolder. I would tell my truth more. I would tell that guy that I like him. I would hold my mom's hand longer or more often. And then I started talking about things like singing and dance. At that time I thought I was tone deaf. I also didn't feel like I was very athletic, so dance was coming slowly to me. I was talking about traveling to different places to dance. I was also talking about writing my own songs and little things too, like kissing deeper and just like writing for different purposes and sharing my words with other people, and all of these things were just kind of coming out. Like I said, maybe for someone else, singing or writing songs is not a big deal, but for me it wasn't really something that I was doing. I didn't even think I could sing. And I even wrote down that I wanted to give India Ree the poem that I wrote for her, excuse me. I didn't know India Ree. I didn't know how I'd meet her. Like, even if I went to her concert or whatever, how would I just meet her? Well, not kidding you at all. Everything that I wrote in my poem started coming true. I did give India Ree my poem that I wrote her in a frame with a card, and I gave it to her in person. That's a story for another video, but I did start singing. I went to dance festivals to learn dance, and I hopefully spent moments holding my mom's hand a bit longer. Hopefully I did, appreciate deeper kisses and made sure I spent more time in those moments. And all of these things, like, I wasn't even thinking about it. I just wrote them down. And the next year, I, for whatever reason, looked back at the poem and I was like, wow, all of these things just happened. I didn't even have to do it. I didn't have to worry about how it was going to happen. It just happened. So, of course, I wrote the poem again the next year, and it became instead of New Year's resolutions, it became my resolution to become who I might have been. That's a quote from another writer, which I have now forgotten the name of, but I will come back to that or write it below this video. And I just was like, no holds barred. I didn't hold myself back because things seemed unrealistic, or how would I get there, or how would I afford that, or I don't have that skill. I just wrote and wrote and wrote. I mean, if I was able to give India Arie a poem that I wrote about her, and I actually met her twice, which is interesting. It was the second time that I gave her. It was the second time that I met her that I gave her the poem. So, yeah, never say can't. And this poem turned everything that I might have otherwise said I can't into it's possible, it's very probable, and it's not up to me, it's up to the universe to know how to make it happen. So I just went on this kind of rampage with this. I did it the next year, and then I wanted to share it with other people because I was like, I don't want to just be the only person that can do this. Like, if this helps other people, I started sharing it with a few friends on a blog that I had before, and 3 people wrote back to me, Sabrina, Leo, and Alcyon. And they wrote these amazing poems that just blew me away in reaction to my poem, which my poem was in reaction to Nadine Stair's poem. So this is like this ripple effect that was just, producing inspiration all over the place. And I was just amazed by this. If I can, I'd like to just share a couple of lines from maybe Alcyon wrote, I don't know much about dominoes, but I love that she had dominoes in there. She said, I would play more dominoes, spark more conversations, and be present. I would have presence, bring my A game, and be the life of the party. She also said that she would she said that I'd realized he's just not that into you. I'd act like a lady and think like a man. I would emancipate myself from mental slavery. And remember, I'm standing on the shoulders of legendary women. That was beautiful. Leo had written something about Leo's poem was really interesting. I love that a guy contributed because it was nice to see that perspective as well, what he was thinking. And he wrote, oh, of course, I don't have it here. Well, I might have to come back to that one because now I've lost it a little bit. Oh, maybe not. Okay, here we go. He said, oh, there's this one line that I really like. He said, it was about eating. Oh yeah, here it is. I'd eat my meals with more care to find more love for what I taste and taste more of what I love. I love that. And it's interesting because I didn't realize until recently that Sabrina's poem towards the end said something about if I had my life to live over, she said, I wouldn't. It's perfect the way it is. And that brings me to more recently. So I have not written, so I wrote this poem like for 3 or 4 years. And then in 2015, my mom passed away. And I just could not get myself to do another one of these. I knew that they were really powerful and stuff, but I also knew that everything that I would have wanted to say was like, I wish I had said this to my mom. I wish I had spent more time with her. I wish I had done this better with her. Like, all the regrets were things that I felt like I can't change because she's not here anymore. So I just kind of like let it go. I couldn't even look at it. I didn't even want to face all the things that I was regretful of in that situation. And it also made me think of like, how did my mom have a bunch of regrets? And that made me feel sad. And I just was hiding from this like exercise that I loved doing for a few years. And now I just thought I had to stop. But for some reason this year, I decided I'm just going to write it again. Like all the other years, it was not up to me to figure out how it was going to happen. The universe would make it happen. Sure, it's a bigger deal because it's like between heaven and earth now, universe, you got to work this out for me. But that's not my problem to figure out. Like, I just was like, it worked all the other times. Why can't it work now? So I did start writing a lot about the things that I wish I had said to my mom, the time that I wish I had spent with her, the vacations we never took, the things that I wish I had shared, like secrets that I guess I wasn't trying to keep a secret, but we just didn't make the time, or I didn't make the time to do. And yeah, there was so much in there. But it felt really private, and I didn't end up wanting to share it. And then I ended up just starting to write other things as well, kind of like about my mom, but also about other parts of my life. And in the end, although I wrote all that, the finished, I don't know if you can call it finished, product ended up being kind of related to what Sabrina said. And that really shocked me. So I just want to share that with you. It goes like this. If I had my life to live over, I would do it the same way. I would trust that the universe is leading my way and that everything that I've been through, all the mistakes that I thought I made, were spiritually ordained. If I had my life to live over, I would relax into this knowing and laugh every time I saw another dot of my life connect, wondering how I ever questioned whether it was meant to be or meant for me. Because it was, it is, it always is. If I had my life to live over, oops, I lost my line. If I had my life to live over, I would settle into each moment, still dreaming and looking forward to what was to come, but never losing sight of what is in front of me. I would see magic in every little fall or heartbreak or tear or fear. I would be so grateful for all the feels, remembering that I chose this life, these lessons. I chose to come back to do it all again, better and deeper. That's what I have been doing every step of the way. Just a few steps each day. That's all I'm responsible for. The rest is secretly, oh my goodness, if I had my life to live over, I would have better eyesight. Sorry. The rest is secretly pre-paved anyway. The universe just makes it look foggy and full of obstacles to keep us interested. If I had my life to live over, I would realize it was never in my control to stay young or grow old. And that is not a defeatism mindset, but one of grace and faith, expansive and forever free. If I have had my life to live over, I would smile at the not knowing, the uncertainty, the mystery with all of its charms. Because, well, that's what keeps us coming back for another round. If I had my life to live over, I would live up to my name and surrender to life's flow, releasing my grip so I can step fully into wherever I go. And I believe that that must have come from my mom as well. Like, I have to believe that this is going to connect me and her, and that the universe is going to take care of that. And those regrets that I feel like I have with her, maybe I will be able to kind of quote unquote fix them or rewrite them through writing, through singing, through dance, through sharing this with you guys. I'm just going to leave it up to the universe. It's just the beginning of the year. And every year that I've done this, throughout that year, what I asked for comes true. So I'm going to surrender. That's what Tesleen means. And I am also, like I said before, offering you this exercise. Write your own if I had my life to live over, so you don't have to say if I had my life to live over, because you'll be living it exactly the way that you want to now. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you all next week. Have a great weekend.